picture, you can see our speakers today. There are our developer of FORTEZA-M series, Mr. Victor Shalavin, our IT engineer, Mr. Alexandre Philippov, and me, Sales Assistant Manager, Natalia Magomadova. Today we will tell you, we will provide you with general information about microwave bistatic sensors, about its principle of operation, and methods of application. We are going also to speak about requirements for installation and exclusions on requirements, about differences from FORTEZA series. In the second part of our webinar, you will know about the FORTEZA-M configuration program, the options of connection, about the program start and program operation. And in the third part, we will answer all your questions. Okay. Principle of operation. In this point, we will tell you the general information about microwave bistatic sensors FORTEZA. Bistatic means that one set consists of a transmitter and a receiver. The samples you can see on our table. Please note that the appearance of a transmitter and a receiver doesn't differ. The principle of operation is based on an invisible detections between transmitter and receiver. I will show you that. One moment. So, in the picture, you can see the invisible detection zone, which is generating between transmitter and receiver and has the form of an ellipsoid. If an intruder comes into this zone, the receiver registers it and triggers an alarm. FORTEZA-M series operates on frequency 24.15 GHz. Thanks to that frequency, the sensor can be used in many countries without getting any special permission for use it. 24 GHz minimizes different noises and provides a narrow detection zone, what makes possible to apply the devices for more security tasks. FORTEZA-M has 5 modifications in accordance with the length of the detection zone. So there are 5 modifications for 50, 100, 200, 300 and 500 meters. In terms of dimensions and appearance, sensors working at distances 300 and 500 meters are different. They are larger and heavier. The difference in modifications is due to the use of different microwave modules, and it doesn't affect the work of the sensor. The bistatic sensors have different methods of application. The most effective, they are on the linear sides. In the picture, you can see that the sensors are installed on special supports and applied to protect the side going along the fence. So, I will show you the supports on that installed all the sensors along the fence. To fit the sensors on the supports, you should use brackets delivering together with devices. The bistatic sensors should be installed in the way of overlapping the zones. Such a way you avoid the dead zones and protect the sensor from the sabotage. On real objects, the bistatic sensors should be mounted this way. Here you can see the application on the top of the fence to protect against our climbing. To mount the sensor this way, you should use special brackets which can be ordered optionally. By installation on the top of the fence, the detection zone will be on the upper part of the fence, and on the ground along the fence, the dog's movements or short bushes are permissible. What can we tell about the use for the zones between buildings and fences? So in these pictures you can see one more method of application of FORTEZA-M. All modifications of FORTEZA-M have a narrow detection zone and can be used on site where buildings are located too close to the fence. You can see that the sensors are installed on brackets along the fence, and the detection zone is situated between the building and the fence. So here we can see the narrow detection zone between the building and the fence. And when an intruder comes into this zone, the sensor will generate an alarm. As said before, a set of bistatic sensors consists of a transmitter and a receiver, and in the picture you can see these units. One moment. The receiver has a plastic enclosure with built-in microwave module and modulator with control elements. The enclosure is covered with a cover lid. In the lower part of the enclosure, there are two holes preventing the formation of condensate inside the transmitting unit. On the side surface of the cover lid, there is a naming bar to simplify the procedure of adjusting of the sensor. The control elements are closed with a plug. From unauthorized opening, the plug is protected with a button. On the back side of the enclosure, there is a bracket fixing unit on the support. The connection of the transmitting unit to the junction box or to the power supply unit is carried out by means of a 5-core cable, which is withdrawn from the unit through the cable gland. So in these pictures you can see the side bar or the aiming bar to simplify the adjustment. And the side cover. The side cover. As for the receiving unit, it has the same characteristics like a plastic enclosure with built-in microwave module and processing board with control elements. The enclosure is covered with a cover lid. In the lower part of the enclosure, there are two holes preventing the formation of condensate inside the receiving unit. On the side surface of the cover lid, there is a naming bar to simplify the procedure for adjusting the sensor. The control elements are closed with a plug. From unauthorized opening, the plug is protected with a button. On the back surface of the enclosure, there is a bracket for fixing unit on the support. The connection of the receiver unit to junction box or to the power supply unit is carried out by means of a 5-core cable, which is withdrawn from the unit through the cable gland. So here you can see the installation on a support. As a support can be used metal pipes from 70 up to 90 millimeters in diameter if you use FORTEZA-M for 50, 100, 200 meters. Supports can be installed with concreting. In areas with too much snow, the above front part of the support must have a length of at least 1500 millimeters. We recommend installation height of the sensor 80-100 centimeters to the center of the sensor if you use models for 50, 100 and 200 meters. In case if you use FORTEZA-M for longer distances, 300 and 500 meters, we advise to use metal or asbestos cement pipes with a diameter of 70 up to 200 millimeters. When installing FORTEZA-M on a wall or a fence, there can be used metal brackets with a minimum length of 35 centimeters. The next step is requirements for the exclusion zone. Once again, recall that the detection zone is formed between the receiver and transmitter, as seen in the picture. In this zone, small animals and birds are allowed up to 5 kilograms. As for precipitation, like rain or snow, it is allowed up to 40 millimeters per hour, and such conditions do not affect the operation of the sensor. The sensor also works perfectly in conditions of thick fog, and there is no false alarms if you install the sensor in conditions of fog, rain, and moreover, the solar radiation also doesn't affect the correct operation of the sensor. The next features is that sensors can be installed under power lines and near substations generating electricity up to 500 kilowatts. The wind up to 30 meters per second will not affect the operation of the bistatic sensor too. On the protected areas, there is allowed the grass cover up to 0.3 meters if you use FORTEZA-M for 50, 100 and 200 meters, and grass up to 0.4 centimeters, meters, if you use FORTEZA 500 and 300. The snow cover doesn't affect the sensor until its level is no more than 0.5 meters when you use FORTEZA 500 and 300 meters. In case of exceeding, we recommend to clear unevenness of the site up to 0.3 meters in any direction. We also want to note that the lightning protection is built into the sensor, and it makes possible to use the detectors during a thunderstorm. FORTEZA-M series is a continuation of FORTEZA series and has the previous features as dimensions and form of the detection zone, resistance to weather conditions and noises, lightning protection of all circuits up to 900 volts, operating frequency 24.15 GHz, configuration via PC and Android devices. At the same time, FORTEZA-M has a number of characteristics. It has 8 frequency letters, which allow to use the sensor in closed buildings like storehouse or hangars. You can set a frequency letter via software, and to change the letter you don't need to power off the sensor, and the operator can be away from the sensor. FORTEZA-M has a temper button on the edge. By opening the hatch, the alarm signal will generate via separate line or interface. Control elements are located on the side surface of the enclosure. Thanks to that, the weather conditions influence the sensor less when adjusting the sensor. What is the difference? One more difference between FORTEZA and FORTEZA-M series. FORTEZA-M has at the moment the more comfortable bracket. One moment. I'll take the arrow. Here you can see our new bracket, which allows to adjust the sensor better. You can see the difference, FORTEZA series and FORTEZA-M series. The control elements are located under the bayonet hatch. I will show you the hatch, one moment. This is the hatch or access hole, if you understand it better. So this hatch you can open with a just screwdriver, and it saves time to open and to close the hatch. And the previous version, FORTEZA, you can see that we have a cover on the hatch with 2 screws. The receiver has under the hatch only the USB slot and status indicator. USB slot and status indicator. All configurations are made via software. That is why the adjustment is visual and takes less time. You can see the control elements of FORTEZA-M, and on the right side there are control elements of FORTEZA series. FORTEZA-M, as I have said, RX, the receiver of FORTEZA-M, has only USB slot, and the sensor should be connected to PC only to change the frequency later. By FORTEZA-M, the sensitivity is adjustable. It means that you can adjust the sensor taking into account the individual features of your site. Also, you can switch the modes of the sensor and the speed of using the software. Now we are going to talk about the interfaces of FORTEZA-M. So, FORTEZA-M can be configured in different ways. You can do that manually with control elements, also using USB or RS485 interface, or just a multimeter. In conclusion, we can say that the sensors FORTEZA-M have high detection ability, good immunity to noises, they are easy to install and configure, and don't need too much cost for seasonal service. FORTEZA-M combines all the best features from FORTEZA sensors. They are very functional, which you can take into account by planning and configuring the sensor. Moreover, thanks to that features, FORTEZA-M expands their applications. So we have finished the first part of our webinar, and we would like to go to the second part, where we will tell you about connection to PC and configuration via software config FORTEZA-M series. My colleagues Alexander and Victor will tell you about that and will show you. Можно, Саша.
Скажи первым делом, что мы сейчас переключимся на трансляцию экрана компьютера, и зрители будут видеть то, что у нас здесь происходит.
Yes, we will switch our camera to the computer and you can see what we are doing there.
Да. Скажи, что мы запустили программу.
We have started the program.
Первое, что предлагает нам программа, это выбрать, как мы будем подключаться к датчику автоматически или вручную.
First, we should choose the way of connection. It should be the automatic search or manual. Automatic connection or manual connection.
Автоматические подключения используются, если мы не знаем номер извещателя, к которому хотим подключиться.
The automatic connection
Там тоже надо
happens if we don't know the number of the sensor which is on the line.
Мы сейчас так и попробуем.
We will try this way, the automatic search.
Идет поиск устройств.
The search of devices you can see in the process.
Сейчас скажу, что у нас проблемы с питанием. Мы дадим питание извещателей.
We have a little problem with the power supply and we are going to switch on.
Все, питание подали. Видим, что найден один извещатель.
So here you can see that one sensor was found.
После того, как извещатель найден, у нас два варианта. Запустить мастер настройки или нажать кнопку «Далее».
After the sensor was found, we can set up the configuration master setup wizard or to click the button next.
Запустим setup wizard.
Let's start setup wizard.
Setup wizard сводится к тому, чтобы настроить наш извещатель на оптимальную работу за несколько шагов, выполняемых последовательно.
The wizard setup let us to use some steps to adjust the sensor.
Шаг первый – это выбор извещателя.
Step 1 is select.
У нас подключен один извещатель, мы нажимаем «Далее».
We have only one sensor connected, that is why we click on next.
Шаг второй – это установка литеры приемника.
Step 2 is setting the receiver's letter. Receiver's letter.
Можешь вот прям читать, что здесь написано. Мы set the receiver letter in the window to the right. И такую же литеру устанавливаем на
So
передатчике.
we should set out the same letter on the transceiver and on the receiver.
После этого нажимаем Next.
Then we should click next.
Следующий шаг – установка скорости преодоления.
The third step is to set up the speed of crossing the territory.
Три варианта скорости преодоления.
There are three options of overcoming speed.
Если извещатель установлен по верху заграждения, выбираем от 0,1 до 1 метра.
If the sensor installed on the top of the fence, so we should choose the option from 0.1 up to 1 meters per second.
Если извещатель установлен в зоне между ограничениями, то от 0 до 4 метров в секунду.
If the sensor is installed in the area between fences, so we should choose the hour coming speed from 0.1 up to 4 meters per second.
Если же он на open area расположен, то от 0,1 до 10 метров в
If
секунду.
the sensor is installed in the open area, so you should choose the speed from 0.1 up to 10 meters per second.
Мы выбрали, что он у нас на открытой арене, нажимаем далее.
So we have chosen the installation in the open air, and so we can click next.
Шаг 4. Юстировка извещателя.
The next step is adjustment of the sensor.
Юстировка извещателя заключается в следующем. Мы должны добиться максимального уровня сигнала в разрешенной зоне. От минимума до максимума. Виктор Леонидович, скажи, что сейчас...
And now we make the adjustment of the sensors, and we should get the maximum signal in the protected zone. The maximum signal.
Давайте еще им немножко покажем, что вот именно это мы сейчас отдаляем,
Now,
поворачиваем друг на друга.
Victor makes adjustment, and he tries to find the direct vision between the sensor, between the transmitter and receiver.
Все, скажи, поймали 69%, это хорошее значение.
Now we have the maximum signal gain, 69%.
Нажимаем далее.
And click next.
Шаг 5 – это установка чувствительности.
Step 5 is sensitivity setting.
Чувствительность обозначается черной стрелкой.
The sensitivity is shown with the black arrow.
Мы ее меняем путем перемещения в столбике.
We can change the sensitivity using this black arrow. We can put it higher or lower.
Да, чем она ниже, тем чувствительность, соответственно, тоже ниже.
If the black arrow lower, so the sensitivity is also lower.
Попросим Виктора Леонидовича совершить контрольный проход.
Now we are making a control passage through the zone.
Видим уверенную сработку извещателя.
Now we can see the sure alarm signal.
Если бы извещатель не сработал, мы должны были повысить чувствительность.
If the sensor would not generate an alarm, so we should put the arrow higher.
Делаем еще один проход.
Now we are making another cross.
Видим, что извещатель опять сработал хорошо, значит чувствительность нас устраивает. Нажимаем финиш.
So we can see that the sensor generates alarm signal by crossing. It is very good for us, and now we can click finish.
С нами дежурное окно программы. Главное окно программы.
Now you can see the main window of the program.
Здесь мы можем делать все то же самое, что делали до этого. Менять литеру, менять номер, юстировку, менять скорость преодоления.
Here we can make configurations like we made before, but all of these options we can see in one window. We can change the letter, we can change the number of the sensor, and make adjustments.
Покажем, вот скажи, что в столбике сейчас все видят, это в реальном времени сигнал от извещателя. Мы сейчас продемонстрируем, как шумы на участке будут видны в программе.
In the real time, we can see the level of the noises on our side, and now we will demonstrate you the level of the noise.
Вот. Что, скажи, вот были шумы, но порог не пересечен, поэтому тревоги нет.
You could see the noises, but the threshold is not crossed. That is why there is no alarm signal.
В программе имеется возможность включения и выключения звука, смены языков и информация о программе.
In the program, you can switch off or switch on the sound. You can change the language, and to get some information about the program.
В принципе, это все, что мы хотели рассказать о настройке программы. Мы сейчас возвращаемся к чату и будем отвечать на вопросы.
So, and that is all that we want to show you. And now we are going back to our chat to answer your questions. Or we can continue and we can answer your questions.
Это потом? Сначала вопросы?
Okay, one moment. Before to answer your questions, we would like to tell you about our special offers. So the special offer for you is the FORTEZA-M stand, which has many advantages. First of all, it allows to minimize the expenses on development of your new branch of the business. It makes possible to get sell equipment from us for low prices, and you can see that all devices on the fence are already installed, and you need just to pack it out and to power, and the sensor and the demo stand is ready for work. Moreover, together with the stand, we deliver some print materials like our catalogs and the main banner, where you can see the whole description of devices that contains our demo stand. So, and when you get the stand, you do not need much time to install, because all equipment, as I said before, all mounted, and you need just to power the equipment. And also, you can put the demo stand in your office, and it will be easier to demonstrate all the equipment to your customers. So you can show all in practice. We have a new data acquisition and processing program. The program has following functions: automatic search for connected devices. Here you can see here you can change the logic number of equipment. You can control all connected devices. The program makes an event protocol which is printable, and connection of devices realizes via released contacts, normal closed contacts, using FORTEZA adapter. And in the future, we are going to make additional functions for these programs, like graphic display on a map, activation and deactivation of devices, start of the configuration program, security lighting management, including our LED series, voice warning, different access level for operators, and configuration and control of executive devices via FORTEZA controller. In this diagram, you can see that in our program can be integrated many devices, including security sensors, security lighting, and voice warning. We also want to inform you that this year in autumn we will participate in two main security exhibitions in Germany, Security Essen. It will be held from 25 to 28 September, and in Beijing we will exhibit in Security China, which will be held from 23rd till 26th of October. The number of the stands you can see in the picture, and we will be glad to see you at our booths. Here you can see our contacts, and if you have more questions, you can phone us or write us emails, and we will answer them. Можем теперь на вопросы отвечать.
Я был готов всегда на них отвечать.
And so we are ready to answer your questions.
Ты тогда зачитывай вопрос и приводи его Виктору Леонидовичу. Вот первый вопрос от Мирко.
I have a power cable along the fence. Will the cable influence the operation of FORTEZA-M? У господина Мирко вопрос. У него проходит силовой кабель вдоль забора. Будет ли этот кабель влиять на работу FORTEZA-M?
Силовой кабель влиять на работу FORTEZA-M не будет. Однако магистральные кабели от извещателей FORTEZA, которые идут к системе сбора информации, не рекомендуется прокладывать вблизи силовых кабелей.
The power cable will not influence the operation of FORTEZA-M, but it is not recommended to lay the cables from delivery kit of FORTEZA-M next to the power cables. It is not recommended.
Следующий вопрос от Данила.
Danila, your question. Should the noise added to an intruder field, I mean, if noise is high, the sensitivity will be increased. Noise intruder alarm.
Давайте я переведу его. Мне уже все сказали. Если, вот как мы имитировали шумы, если постоянные шумы на участке, он спрашивает, то получается, что чувствительность будет выше. И тогда он уже на нарушителя будет реагировать, учитывая шумы, и маленький проход будет работать чаще от этого, если шумы на участке.
То есть, если шумы на участке, необходимо настраивать меньшую чувствительность для того, чтобы он менее влиял на
меньшую чувствительность.
Да, скажи, что если у него на участке шумы, постоянные, столбик колышется, то ему надо ставить чувствительность меньше.
Danila, if you have many noises on your side, so the sensitivity should be lower. Ниже должно быть, да?
Да.
Should be lower.
Как правило, такие шумы возникают от травы высокой, от качающихся веток деревьев, от каких-то предметов, которые находятся в зоне округи.
High noises can be caused by high grass and another object which can be moved in the detection zone.
Следующий вопрос.
Next question. What about the radio jammer?
Что насчет радиоглушителя?
We haven't understood in right well the question about the radio jammer. Could you precise, please?
Что именно он подразумевает под джеммером?
What do you mean under jammer?
Следующий вопрос.
The question from Mirko. Does the vibration from the railway influence the operation of the sensor?
Будут ли вибрации от железнодорожных путей и, соответственно, поездов по ним ездящих влиять на работоспособность извещателя?
Значит, если извещатель под воздействием вот этих вибраций будет шевелиться, колыхаться как-то, то, естественно, это будет влиять на работоспособность извещателя. Если он закреплен жестко и в достаточном отдалении, то влияние
if the sensor installed near the railway moves when the train passes, so it can be false alarms. But if the sensor installed a bit far from the railway and it is mounted for sure, so there will be no influence on its operation.
Пояснение Вот к предыдущему вопросу по поводу глушителя.
Радиоблокатор. Я имею в виду, что если есть радиоблокатор.
Ну, типа блокировщик радиосигналов. Жалуйтесь, что вас не слышно.
Блокировщик радиосигнала. То есть, как бы, сложно определить. То есть, влияние на извещатель не диапазоны его работы, а это 21, 24 и 1,1 ГГц, не должно быть влияния других.
Короче, если глушилка работает на других частотах радио, а не на 24 ГГц, то все будет отлично.
If the radio blocker or radio jammer works on frequencies which are lower than 24 GHz, so there will be no influence on the operation of our sensor.
Не обязательно lower, просто другой. Она может быть 26 ГГц, 45 ГГц, все равно ничего не будет. Главное, чтобы не 24.
Okay, I would like to precise about the radio blocker. If the radio blocker works on frequencies which are different from 24 GHz, so it will be no influence on its operation.
Пояснение от Данила. Вопрос по шумам.
Let's say that I have an alarm with sensitivity at 50 level without noise, and let's say that after 2 weeks burn a noise level 10. Should the alarm is however at 50 or become 40 because is 40 plus 10 noise?
Очень хороший вопрос. Смотрите, у него стояла чувствительность ровно 50%. После этого, через 2 недели, начались шумы в районе 10% всегда. И он говорит, теперь достаточно нарушителю влиять на 40%, чтобы преодолеть ее. То есть, раньше что-то проходило, был сигнал 40%, не был сработки. А теперь у него постоянные шумы, и такое же что-то проходит. Будет сработка в этом случае или нет? Шумы прибавляются будет сработка, поэтому необходимо постоянно следить за участком, следить за уровнем шумов и корректировать чувствительность.
Yes, Danilo, here you are right. In this way, so you should constantly check your site and to remove all objects which can influence the level noise on the site. Это означает, что чувствительность становится выше, чем до этого. Yes, Danilo, you understand right. It means that the sensitivity will be higher than before.
Ну, он ловит чаще.
Да, у него может быть права
Не, он так. Ну и за счет этого сработки будут чаще от шумов.
За счет этого
он это и...
Danilo, you understand all right. John Elliott, if a radio jammer or blocker was used and it was on the same frequency, would the alarm activate?
Если все-таки с блокиратором он именно пошел на 24 ГГц, заглушил наш датчик, сигнал тревоги пройдет, и датчик не почувствует ничего и продолжит работать. Скажи, что мы вот насчет этого сигнала аларма сейчас спросим у наших разработчиков.
Mr. Elliott, we will answer your question a bit later after discussion with our main developers about the radio and if it activates the alarm of our sensors if it works on the same frequency.
Скажем, мы как бы понимаем, что должна быть сработка, но сами сказать боимся утверждения вышестоящих инстанций.
То может быть сработка, да?
Должна.
Mr. Elliott,
Можно,
when using blocker or 24 GHz and we are going near to our sensor, it can be alarm, but anyway, we should precise it with our developers.
Ждем дополнительных вопросов.
So, if you have other questions, please ask. We are waiting for them.
Скажи, что программист старался, такую систему писал, а по ней ни одного вопроса нет.
Our IT engineer has made a new program for data acquisition and processing, and he wants you ask him the questions about the system.
Ахмед.
Ahmed, the thing is we have some customers ask for both sensors for intrusion and radio blockers. Что делать в случае, если клиенты просят и извещатель, и радиоблокатор одновременно? Ну, для использования на участке и то, и другое. У нас их нет. Если они установят наш извещатель и одновременно у кого-то другого купят радиоблокаторы, будут использовать их совместно.
Ну зачем совместно? Одно мешает другому работать. Радиоблокатор это такая штука, она просто глушит все сигналы.
It is better not to use our sensors FORTEZA together with the radio blocker on the site. It is not recommended. If you use the sensor and the radio blocker at the same time, so our sensor can be influenced from the side of the blockator.
Вот нам ответили, что если мощность блокатора больше, чем мощность нашего извещателя, то сработает тревога. Это Джону.
Про Джона, да?
Вот он спрашивал.
Mr. Elliot, to your question about the same frequency for the radio jammer and for our sensor.
Если мощность этого джаммера или блокера больше, чем мощность нашего извещателя, то извещатель выдаст тревогу.
If the power of the radio jammer is more than by our sensor, so it will generate an alarm signal.
Это про смену своего дизайна.
Это скорее не дизайн, а изменения в проекте. Mr. Ahmed, if you right understand, if you can't use the blocker and our sensor at the same time on the site, so you should make changes in your project.
Скажи,
Do I understand right?
Что надо? Ну, давай по-английски прочитаем, чтобы мы поняли.
Okay, so it to the question of Mr. Elliot. Okay, so it will be go into alarm, which we can then follow up. То есть извещатель придет в состояние тревоги, которую мы сможем отследить.
Да, да.
Yes, Mr. Elliot, you are right. You are right.
Он предполагал, если заглушить, то нарушитель может пройти.
Да, что нарушитель не сможет пройти наш рубеж даже с радиолокатором, блокиратором.
I have a question about FM84 protocol. Can you teach me what value we can check for?
Да все, мы поняли
Okay, we
вопрос.
understand the question.
Он хочет, чтобы мы ему сейчас во время вебинара по FORTEZA-M рассказывали протокол Зебры 84 и с такими глубокими дебрями, что все остальным просто это неинтересно. Мы ему в личечку, как обычно, ответим на все его вопросы.
The answer to the question of the company net. We will write you a personal email with answers to your questions about FM84 protocol.
Намеков не понимают иностранцы, вешать этот слайд. Можем всех благодарить. Скажи, что были очень интересные вопросы. Спасибо, что пришли.
Dear all, thank you very much for all your questions and thank you very much for visiting us. If you have another questions, you can write us by mail or call us by phone. Anyway, we are here from you.
Эта площадка будет активна еще в течение 2 часов. Они могут и сюда писать. Мы просто сейчас закроем видео и звук и будем отвечать им текстом.
This platform will be available during some time, so you can type here your questions, but we will switch off the video now.
Прощаемся.
So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you for all your time.